The market just took a massive hit, and it's not just crypto. We're seeing the same story play out in the stock market. A major sell-off has everyone talking. Some are panicking, while others are pointing fingers, calling this outright market manipulation. Honestly, I'm leaning toward the latter. Let's dive into what's really happening here. There's a lot unfolding in the crypto space right now, and it's sparking plenty of opinions. But one thing is clear, this is a moment worth dissecting. Let's take a closer look at what's happening. My screen is flooded with red, a sea of it. And it's not just the top 100 coins, the top 1,000 are in the red. The entire crypto market is bleeding, even exchanges. This comes right after Bitcoin hit a new all-time high in May, leaving everyone asking, what's going on? Is alt season around the corner, or is the bull run over? So here's where things stand. The market cap is sitting at $3,290 billion. Bitcoin is trading around $102,000, roughly $101,800, $101,900. Ethereum is at $2,400. But the real story today lies in liquidations. In the last 24 hours, a staggering $983 million was wiped out, with $891,900,000 coming from long positions. It's a classic liquidity cascade triggered when over-leveraged positions get targeted. This happens time and time again, a reminder of just how brutal the market can be when traders take on too much risk. It's not just leverage, it's a domino effect, one we've seen before. And yet here we are again, the entire market is in the spotlight and Bitcoin is leading the charge. Let's take a quick refresh. Coin market cap is acting up again. Here's how it's looking. Over the past month, we've seen an impressive climb. Let's break this down. So roughly $112,000 here, and then we saw a drop, landing close to $100,400. Now, the big question is, have we hit the bottom, or is there more room to fall? Here's my take. My main focus right now is on altcoins. Over the past few days and weeks, I've been saying one thing: be prepared for significant drawdowns in this market. Well, Bitcoin is down just 3% on the daily, about 3.62% over the past 7 days, which is really nothing. Altcoins like XRP tell a different story. For example, XRP is down 5% today and 4.24% over the week, almost double the drop. Why? Bitcoin dominance is staying sky high. Looking at XRP, we saw a solid climb to around $2.60 in mid-May, but now we're sitting at roughly $2.09. This volatility isn't surprising. It's the nature of the market. We're in a phase of consolidation and the market is chopping around. But here's the kicker. I believe Bitcoin will trade much higher by the end of the year. As for XRP, there's more to discuss. But before diving deeper into that, let's address a few key trends shaping the market right now. Market manipulation at its finest. It's hard to ignore what's happening here. I've got to agree with Scar to Seer on this one because the signs are glaringly obvious. Look at everything unfolding. Crypto stablecoin legislation making headlines, the SEC seemingly opening the doors to crypto, and waves of positive news pouring in. Yet, despite all this, where's the price action? Since January, we've seen barely any real movement for altcoins. Sure, XRP had some decent moves here and there, but the last time we saw a significant high or meaningful price development was 5 months ago. Since then, consolidation, choppiness, sideways movement, all while the good news keeps rolling in. It's frustrating. I hear you. I get why so many of you feel disheartened. We're seeing groundbreaking developments, forward momentum in legislation, and exciting prospects for the crypto space, but prices remain stagnant. Why? Because we're still tethered to Bitcoin. Even today, the market feels like it's being manipulated. Take this for example. Markets started dumping after this tweet. Pure manipulation. Elon's tweet read, "Time to drop the really big bomb. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they haven't been made public." And just like that, chaos. I'm going to dive into why I believe this is yet another case of market manipulation. But for now, it's clear as day, we're seeing the strings being pulled. Hope you're having a great day. So let's talk about the whirlwind between Donald J. Trump and Elon Musk, because wow, the last 24 hours have been something else. Elon flooded X with posts about Trump, sparking a back and forth that's impossible to ignore. Trump, never one to back down, has taken it up a notch. He's now suggesting the government should terminate Musk's federal contracts, claiming it's an easy way to save billions. "I'm surprised Biden didn't already do it," Trump remarked. But that's not all. Trump also claimed Elon has been unraveling, saying, "I asked him to leave, took away his EV mandates, forcing people to buy cars no one wanted, and he lost it. It's a clash of the titans, but who's telling the truth here?" The drama continues. And honestly, it's hard to look away. It's hard to know who to trust anymore. This whole back and forth has been exhausting, yet these two are still following each other, which feels oddly timed considering everything else happening right now. And let's not ignore the pressure building around this reconciliation bill. For weeks, it's been the talk of the town, but confidence in the Senate is clearly slipping. Just 48 hours ago, there was a 75% chance it would pass before July. Elon's Kill the Bill campaign is unfolding live, and the odds are down to 50% and dropping fast. This is the core reason everyone's buzzing right now. What's more, it feels like this is happening strategically, right when attention should be shifting to bigger headlines. The spotlight? Stablecoin legislation is inching closer, possibly landing next week. Add to that the upcoming FOMC meeting with the Fed this month, and the timing couldn't be more intriguing. It's almost like the market is going through its signature pre-move shakeout, flushing out weak hands before something major happens. I've seen this pattern play out again and again. Think back to 2020. The cycle repeats and the big moves are just around the corner. The main thing that really shook everyone was the absolute carnage in altcoins heading into 2021. XRP's lawsuit announcement only added fuel to the fire, and people thought the altcoin market was done for. Then, out of nowhere, 2021 arrived, alt season exploded, and everyone was caught completely off guard. Sound familiar? It's deja vu. Markets are being wiped out, but in my opinion, this is just the calm before the storm, before the biggest moves take center stage. I'll dive into that in a moment, but here's where things get crazier. Breaking news: Elon Musk agrees President Trump should be impeached, suggesting JD Vance as a replacement. And if that wasn't enough, talk of Trump tariffs causing a recession in the second half of the year is heating up. In looking at these tariffs, I really don't think we're heading for a recession this year. My take: 2026 feels more likely. Here's why. Recessions often follow a 2-year pattern. Historically, 2 years after a president is elected, we've seen the economy take a hit. If that trend holds, 2026 could be the one to watch. This year marks the start, next year builds the setup, and by 2026, we might see the fallout. That's been my perspective since April, and the data is aligning with it. Just some food for thought as we keep an eye on the road ahead. Let's rewind to April for a moment. On April 4th, I shared something that still resonates today. Now, this is from April 6th, but it's all part of the same pattern, either biweekly or weekly movements. Back then, the low was around $74,400. And from there, we witnessed a rally pushing past $112,000. My take: I'm convinced this entire stock market crash dating back to late January wasn't random. It was orchestrated. Think about it. A staggering $10 trillion evaporated from the stock market in just a few months. That's an unimaginable amount of money shaken loose and sitting on the sidelines now. Fast forward to today, and we're seeing signs of an explosive rally brewing beneath the surface. Big banks, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Bank, are all hammering the recession narrative. Even Elon Musk is chiming in, hinting at a possible recession this year. It's all fear, isn't it? Fear-driven emotions everywhere. 44.4 million views. Just look at the engagement on this. Everyone's glued to it. And today, well, we saw it all unfold, post after post. But this was the big one, stealing the spotlight. 17.4 million views. It all kicked off at 3:10 p.m. That's when he posted, sparking a chain reaction. Then, just over an hour later at 4:26 p.m. came the recession tweet, fuel to the... From that moment on, the markets tumbled hard. You can see it clearly on Bitcoin's daily chart. Let's rewind to the action. By 5:15 p.m., the markets hit rock bottom. Now, back to the first post, 3:10 p.m. The sell-off had already begun. It started with discussions swirling around Elon's Twitter, then bam, his post dropped. By 5 p.m., the cascade was unstoppable, with the recession tweet only amplifying the chaos. Retail sentiment is in panic mode. Fear and greed indexes are hitting rock bottom with single digits across the board. The mainstream media is flooding us with fear-driven headlines, while Jim Cramer tells boomers to sell. Meanwhile, the dollar is crashing, a bullish sign for risk on assets like crypto and stocks. Many charts are teetering on macro support levels or clinging to long-term trends. We've just experienced one of the biggest capitulation events in both time and price action in years. Some are even comparing it to, or saying it's worse than, the COVID crash. Here's the wild part. Bitcoin is still holding above $80,000. And altcoins like XRP are reaching major highs. The market has been gripped by fear for weeks now, but I see a massive rally brewing, one that will shock everyone, as always. This is the moment to lock in or risk being left out. I stand by what I said before, and today's market action only reinforces it. Take the S&P 500, for example. After its strong rally, the S&P is now sitting at critical resistance levels. Back in early March, we saw a retest of these levels, which, by the way, were first hit way back in November 2024. That's when the market took a sharp dive into this red zone I had flagged earlier, exactly as predicted. I mentioned we'd likely see a sell-off, and here we are. Today's cascade of news only sped things up, pushing markets deeper into the red zone. But here's the kicker. After this, I expect a bounce, and not just any bounce. I believe we're on the verge of hitting a new all-time high. Yes, despite the fear gripping the markets, we're incredibly close. The irony, retail investors are paralyzed by fear while opportunity knocks. Then there's Bitcoin. Since mid-May, I've been mapping out this fair value gap spawning from roughly $97,800 to $100,700. We hit it today, but I still think there's a chance we could dip lower and fully close this gap. It's all about retesting that trend line, stretching back to April. You can see patterns forming, choppy action here, a bit more consolidation there before we potentially break to the upside again. It's interesting how this lines up with the Fed's rate decision, and let's not forget the growing buzz around stablecoin legislation. The market feels like it's opening up in a big way for institutional investors, and there's likely a lot still waiting in the wings to be unveiled. Overall, this is exactly what I'm keeping an eye on when it comes to Bitcoin. And here's the kicker. We just hit a fresh all-time high on May 22nd, yet now the markets are suddenly panicking after a healthy pullback. As I mentioned before, these markets are under heavy manipulation right now. This is not the time to get shaken out. Speaking of Bitcoin, altcoins, and the much anticipated alt season, let's talk about Bitcoin dominance for a moment. Let me pull up the 3-week chart because there's something intriguing happening here. I believe we're approaching a critical tipping point for Bitcoin dominance. We could see one last push upwards, possibly hitting 65, 67%. But here's the kicker. The next candle on this chart appearing by the end of the month might just flip red. I wouldn't let the fear shake me out of this market, especially not from altcoin positions when Bitcoin dominance looks the way it does right now. Everyone's convinced this cycle is different, that Bitcoin will continue to run the show, but history tells a different story. XRP has been outperforming Bitcoin all year long, crushing it this entire cycle. It's even outpaced Ethereum. Alt season is coming, and here's the kicker. XRP is still sitting above $2.00. When the fireworks really start, we'll see countless sideline investors regretting their decisions, shaken out by fear-mongering over recessions, market crashes, and looming bear markets. All these posts about charts and predictions are starting to gatekeep, leaving so many people stuck on the sidelines, too scared to act. But here's the thing. Soon we'll see that money FOMO its way back in, and it's frustrating because we know what's going to happen. People will rush in, buying at much higher prices than they originally could have, and it's likely we'll see folks getting liquidated or losing money. Why? Because they're not following the real news. They're caught up in the noise. The Elon vs. Donald Trump drama, just a giant distraction. In my opinion, it's all noise, like the trade war chatter back in the day. Remember the tariffs? I said back then it was just smoke and mirrors meant to keep us out. And guess what? It eventually cleared up, just like this will. All right. And it cleared up. That's why we saw Bitcoin hit a new all-time high. If fear had taken over, we would have bailed during those major panic moments. Look at these big sell-offs. One here, another massive one there, and yet another one after that. If we had panicked, we'd be out at those levels while Bitcoin kept skyrocketing. And let's not forget about XRP. Through it all, XRP was holding its own, bouncing back when it mattered. Selling at the lows would have been a mistake. As for me, I'm staying calm. I'm not panicking. I'm not worried at all. No panic here, just because a billionaire and a president are clashing over X. The S&P and stocks are nearing an all-time high, and the Fed is about to decide on rate cuts, right as the historic stablecoin bill is on the verge of passing. This is not the time to get shaken out. Stay focused on what really matters. With all this in motion, I just want to give you a heads up. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Stay sharp, and as always, thanks for watching. Peace out.